The Atlanta Falcons have taken a big fall since making the Super Bowl back in the 2016 season. After blowing a 25-point lead in the big game, they have blown multiple double-digit leads since, making it part of their team identity. After starting the 2020 season 0-5, the Falcons decided it was time to move on from head coach Dan Quinn. Atlanta went on to win 4 of its next 6 games, looking like a whole new team post-Quinn. The future is very bleak for the Falcons, but there is some promise. First, I'd like to acknowledge that the majority of the people who watch our videos aren't subscribed to the channel. Help us out by subscribing and joining us on our way to 100K because it's coming fast, and you don't want to miss your opportunity to enlist in the J&D Army. The Atlanta Falcons were expected to be, at worst, a respectable team during the 2020 season with a potential shot to make the playoffs. However, that isn't how it's played out. The Falcons were absolutely awful to start the year, losing their first 5 games of the season. After the 5th loss, owner Arthur Blank decided it was time to move on from head coach Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn had some success in Atlanta, helping the franchise to one of its 2 Super Bowl appearances. In 6 seasons, Quinn went 43-42 in the regular season and 3-2 in the playoffs. After making the Super Bowl, the Falcons returned to the playoffs where they beat the Los Angeles Rams in the wild card before falling to the eventual champion Philadelphia Eagles. The problem wasn't winning playoff games for Quinn. The issue was qualifying. Those were his only 2 playoff appearances in Atlanta. Of course, everything seems to have gone somewhat downhill since. It's almost as if the Falcons have allowed a modern-day meme to get in their head, the idea that they can't keep a lead. Of course, this originated in the 2016 Super Bowl when the New England Patriots rallied back from 28-3 to win the game in overtime. The Falcons blowing big leads became the biggest meme in the sports world, and it's only gotten worse, especially this season. In Week 2, Atlanta was dominating the Dak Prescott-led Dallas Cowboys 29-10 at the half. The Falcons aren't a great second-half team and managed to blow the 19-point lead to lose 40-39 in devastating fashion. The jokes started coming back fast, and it sounded like it got to the Falcons' head because the next week, the Falcons faced the Chicago Bears. The Falcons were up 26-10 with less than 6.5 minutes left in the game. Less than 6.5 minutes. You know what happens next? Chicago rallies and manages to come out victorious 30-26. The Dan Quinn era finally came to a close on October 11th, when after a loss to the Carolina Panthers, Quinn was fired. The Falcons decided to do more than just get rid of Quinn, also firing general manager Thomas Dimitroff. In Week 6, Atlanta faced off against the 1-5 Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings were a bad team, don't get it twisted, but the Falcons looked like a new team with interim head coach Raheem Morris, who was previously the Falcons' defensive coordinator. Atlanta tied their season-best defensive effort, giving up 23 points, which isn't great, but it's better than what they were giving up. On offense, Matt Ryan had a great game, passing for 371 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Falcons scored a season-high 40 points in the victory to improve to 1-5. Now, things didn't just perfectly switch after getting rid of Quinn. Atlanta lost the following week to the Detroit Lions, giving up a touchdown with 2 seconds to remain that resulted in the Lions' win. This one was tough, but I wouldn't consider it in the way as the previous upsets. For one, the lead wasn't that large. However, the Falcons should have easily won with any kind of competence, and that blame goes on Todd Gurley. In a mic'd up, Matt Ryan clearly tells Gurley to make sure that he doesn't score because the Falcons could just run out the clock. Instead, he scored, and nobody was happier than the Lions. Before the Falcons' Week 10 bye, they were able to rattle off 2 straight victories. They avenged their loss to the Panthers that resulted in the Quinn firing by taking down Carolina 25-17. The following week, they took down the Denver Broncos 34-27 to win 3 of their last 4 games. The Falcons lost to the NFC best New Orleans Saints coming out of the bye, but the next week, they made huge strides. The Las Vegas Raiders have been a surprise team this season, including a wild victory over the Kansas City Chiefs to hand them their first loss of the year. Against the Raiders, the Falcons absolutely worked them, rolling to a huge 43-6 victory. The win was a good effort that hopefully gives a good sign for the future. Atlanta has a long way to get back to being a contender. They need to find a head coach, and that defense is miserable, but their offensive core should immediately invoke some confidence. Matt Ryan is a former MVP and has had some monstrous statistical seasons, including in the past few years with a bad Falcons team. And let's not forget about his partner in crime on the outside, of course, Julio Jones. Jones is one of, if not the best wide receiver in the league. He has gone for over 1,000 yards every year since 2013, when before he went down with an injury, he averaged 116 yards per game. At the running back position, the Falcons also have Todd Gurley, who has had surprising success this season, despite the Rams releasing him this past offseason. The Atlanta Falcons have had a tough stretch since their 28-3 fiasco in the 2016 Super Bowl, but post-Dan Quinn era, there is still some promise. If Arthur Blank can find the right head coach and the franchise starts to build around the aging offensive talent on the roster, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones have a shot to find themselves playing in the Super Bowl again. Let's just hope that if they can return to the promised land, they can finish the job. Thanks for watching. If you love J&D Productions, check out J&D Hoops, where we recently uploaded our first video. Go subscribe and hit that notification bell, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter for more J&D. We read all of our DMs and love hearing what you have to say.